Star becomes two. Mizar becomes Alcor. And stay curious, folks, and find out about these two stars and their little place in our sky filled with folklore as we bring you Starry Nights here at the American Space Museum with Backyard Astronomy and me, Stargazer MarQ, here on Stay Star Curious. Thanks for joining us. I'm back in my backyard going to talk about the Big Bear, Ursa Major, today after we report a little bit of news going on. I've got my planisphere, which tells me what time I'm observing and the month. June, here it is, June 20th, and it's not going to get dark till about 9 o'clock. And I set my planisphere for that and go out with my red light so I can see it and not have my night adapted vision hurt by white light. Red light will allow your eyes to stay dilated and absorb more photons at night and thus see your star maps and so forth. So glad that you're all with us today for another week with Marty Winkle, my co-producer and friend here. We have put together, this is our 598th episode here on June 20th, 2022. We started on March 21st, or I believe, 2020. Born out of the pandemic, we're so glad that you're with us because here at the American Space Museum, we preserve the birth of America's space age in its delivery room, Brevard County, and we are literally just 10 miles away, Marty, from where a big doings is going on right now as we're going to talk about Ursa Major here, the Big Bear. Everyone knows the seven stars of the Big Dipper, but do you know it's an entire constellation there with its feet at the bottom here are called the Leap of Gazelle, as they look like a leap of a gazelle going across the sky to some cultures. But like I was starting out there, Marty, big doings on the Space Coast as everybody is very thrilled. I'm looking over at my monitor where the SLS rocket has been being fueled, and here's a picture of it I took off of YouTube. You can see the vapor coming out of it. It has reached the 10-minute, T-minus 10-minute mark when they're stopping the wet dress rehearsal that's been going on all morning. I see that says 32 minutes there, doesn't it, Marty, when I took that picture? No, on our screen there. So looks like a very successful wet test, and they had a camera on YouTube going up and down the whole vehicle there, and you couldn't see anything leaking anywhere. That's a good thing. So it's on YouTube right now. They reached the T-minus 10 minute and hold in the pretend countdown of our space launch system. And that's exciting because I think it went well, Marty. They've had it 100% fueled for over 2 hours. And so I'm sure they got all the data they needed. They will haul this puppy back into the VAB, load up the Orion capsule on the top with the things that they want to take to the orbit the moon for about a month. And so this could really happen here by July or August, Marty. So very exciting. And congratulations to the NASA team out there for their what appears to, by every indication, to be a very good wet dress rehearsal. We're having our auction Saturday here at the museum, our 20th memorabilia auction. You can own that insurance cover signed by Neil, Buzz, and Mike from Apollo 13 53 years ago. That'll cost you about $5,000. I believe it's well over $3,000 on pre-bidding. You can pre-bid now. Go to our website, go to the auctions, and click all the links. And there's 400 items that I'll be helping our collection analyst and Chief Operating Officer Chuck Jeffrey auction off Saturday beginning at 12 noon here in our building, or you may go to the website and find the link to get in on the action. And if you don't have much money to spend, it's a lot of fun to watch, as you'll be amazed at some of the prices of the photographs and so forth. And that is we're auctioning off of that badge in the middle, STS-17. I'm sorry, Apollo 17. Some dice that Gene Cernan took to the moon on Apollo 17. That is a real Mercury motor on the left and a real Rocketdyne motor on the right. The Mercury motor is off of the escape tower. That's a solid rocket motor. But that's not over that we're doing for a museum there. There's a real Rocketdyne engine, about 15 grand to own that one, I think. So stay tuned with that. We're going to talk to Chuck all about that tomorrow on Stay Curious, and he's going to tell us about the auction world and give you some tips on collecting. We've got 4 birthdays today, actually 5. We have the deceased Elon Ramon. His birthday was today. God rest his soul. But today is a good day to be an astronaut, as 5 space flyers were born on June 20th in space history. This is Ulf Merhold, 81, from Gretz, Germany, born June 20th, 1941. He was on a veteran of 3 space flights, 50 days in space, a very important ESA and German astronaut. Ulf Merhold is 81 today. And we have Jim Buchley. Whoop. Jim Buchley here. No, no, that's Gary Payton. Sorry. Gary Payton he had a 1-flight STS-51C, just a Department of Defense mission, but it's got that big eagle, gold eagle emblem on it. That's beautiful. He was born in Rock Island, Illinois, on June 20th, 1948. So happy 77th birthday. Gary Payton, 74, I mean. Gary Payton, happy 74th birthday to you. James Buchley. James Buchley is 77, born in Fargo, North Dakota. He is a Hall of Fame astronaut with 4 missions under his belt. 20 days in space, each about 5 days. And then Brian Duffy, also a Hall of Fame inductee back in 2016. Duffy was born June 20th, 1953 in Boston, Massachusetts. Twice a pilot, twice a commander. And so those are our birthdays. Brian is 69 years old. So happy birthday to Brian Duffy, 69. Gary Payton is 77. Jim Buchley is 77. Gary Payton is 74. And Ulf Merhold is 81. So, going back through them there. So we get through them that way. Now, Elon Ramon, like I said, was born he'd have been 66 years old today. Born in Israel. Israel's only astronaut lost his life in the Columbia disaster, and there he is during the Columbia mission in space, Elon Ramon. Well, let's get to a little bit of stargazing on this and we're also going to tease you that the 3rd rocket launch by SpaceX in 36 hours was last night, about 12:15 Sunday night, Monday morning. And we're going to tease you to stick away to the end with some photos of people around the country and the world that saw something very unusual about the launch here at Kennedy Space Center last night. So everybody knows them as the 7 stars of the Big Dipper, yet they're just the hindquarters of the large constellation Ursa Major, the Big Bear. Why do so many cultures call this constellation a bear? And there under my shoulder is the nose of the bear right here. He's trying to take a bite out of my shoulder there with my Space Hipsters patch on it. And his feet are going down. Like I said, there's 2 little stars in pairs that are called the Leap of the Gazelle. Those stars are very indistinguished and hard to see from your backyard, which you're only going to see about 4th magnitude if you're lucky. 6th magnitude is the faintest stars you see. But there's other features around Ursa Major. There's several galaxies. M81's a galaxy. There's the Owl Nebula. There's other galaxies in this whole region. But we're not to talk about those because you need telescopes and time exposure photographer to see those. We want to talk about the Big Dipper, rivaled only by the winner's Orion the Hunter. Big Dipper is the most recognized star pattern around the world. Recognizable by stargazing boys and girls and men and women, and just go out and look north and look high up, and it's directly overhead to the left a little bit now. And that curve of the handle is actually curving over your head as the handle the is flipped over about the opposite the way you see on this picture here, about 90 degrees. Imagine that. It's like an hourglass, because a hand on a clock, because it moves around and is circumpolar. Everybody knows the Big Dipper. It frequently appears in cartoons, advertising campaigns, and even pop culture, like an obscure a basketball bit of trivia, who was nicknamed the Big Dipper. And that would be this 7'4" giant of the 1960s and 70s, Mr. Wilt Chamberlain, who is also called Wilt the Stilt. But he was well known as the Big Dipper. He easily dipped balls into the hoop, once scored 100 points in the game, and he passed away over 10 years ago. But he's one of the greatest basketball players of all time. And his legendary battles with Bill Russell, who was only like 6'8" only, are just legendary. So, but he was called the Big Dipper. Wilt Chamberlain there. I had a little pop culture to help you stay curious. But there is the Big Dipper standing on its handle. Happens to be above my little sister Sherry's home in San Angelo, Texas. A visit out there, and you see the Big Dipper. The bowl is up at the top. This is also called the plow to you up in the United Kingdom. Hello there, Robert Law. He knows it as the plow because it appears to be plowing up. It's like a plow behind the horses and the carts in the old days, okay? You can see that with the reins being attached to the handle. The 3 stars of the handle, all right, arc, and we're going to see the stars that it arcs to. But the middle star of that handle is the star that is actually 2 stars that we're actually looking at, and we'll see here in a minute. Alcade, Mizar, Alioth, Magriz, Fecta, Myrick, and Dubé. Myrick and Dubé are well known because they're the pointer stars of the, all given kind of Arabic names by Arabic astronomers. This is what's so interesting about the sky, is a lot of the stars have the names of Arabic stargazers like El Nath and Aldebaran and Arcturus and so forth. And all these stars are Arabic names. Whereas the constellation themselves bear Roman or Greek mythology names, okay? And they didn't change the names of the stars, they stuck with them. You owe it to yourself to look up at the Big Dipper on these clear late spring nights, almost summertime, to see the most famous 7 stars in the night sky. They all translate to a part of the bear, like these words mean loins, tail, thigh. Their exact meaning is lost in unrecorded antiquity. Like a lot of bright star patterns, they can be used as a guidepost to find other stars in the sky. So the Big Dipper asterism is not a constellation. Ursa Major, or Latin for Big Bear, is the name of the constellation, but the asterism is the group of stars that make up the Dipper, or the plow, okay? And you obviously see the pointer stars point to the Polaris, our North Star. The handle arcs to Arcturus and speeds on to Spica, 2 of my favorite stars. And one of the earliest sayings I learned is in amateur astronomy as a wee young boy was arc to Arcturus and speed on to Spica. The night sky is always full of mythical stories and folklore, and you'd be hard-pressed to find any ancient civilization that did not recognize the Big Dipper. Surprisingly, many legends call the pattern in the stars around it a bear. But I was talking to Marty in our pre-production meeting. Marty, think about bears. What does their tail look like? We'll get back to that in a minute. As part of the large constellation Ursa Major, the Great Bear, the Big Dipper was seen as a cart by the Chinese on a wall relief dating back to 147 AD. All right. The Big Dipper is also a good way to measure sky distances. The distance between the handle is 5 degrees, okay? And that is about your fist outstretched is 5 degrees. The Big Dipper, Dubé, and Merrick would fit right in between there, all right? And then you see the other ratios there, because it's good to know when magazines or amateur astronomers are talking shop, and they say the moon's going to be 5 degrees away from Venus in the morning sky. All right, then you know, wow, it's really close. Like the two stars of the Big Dipper pointers. All right, 10 degrees is the bowl, width of the bowl of the Big Dipper. All right, 25 degrees is the whole Big Dipper. And of course, 90 degrees is directly overhead. And so half of that in the horizon is 45. So the Big Dipper itself occupies a lot of territory. And Ursa Major is the third largest constellation behind Virgo. And I think Cetus the Whale is the largest constellation with a lot of indiscriminate stars. Greek and Roman mythology heavily involved the greater and lesser bears in their stories. After all, the Little Dipper is in what's called the Little Bear. All right. And there we have the Arcturus and speed on to Spica. Showed you Bootes. It looks like an ice cream cone. It is a constellation of a person's name, Bootes, Marty, who's said to be a herdsman. And Arcturus translates in Arabic to herdsman or herder of mostly goats and sheep. I think Bootes may have invented the wheel. This is why he's up there. He's not herding sheep around. He was a famous did something, but good name for a cat, Bootes, huh? Haven't heard too many people name Bootes, Marty, but maybe one of you out there will name somebody Bootes. Let's get back to this wonderful constellation. Some cultures even tested the eyesight of potential warriors by making them look at the Big Dipper. Okay. Well, how's that? What's that all about? Okay. Well, that is our background here of our stars, showing you the two stars in the middle of the Big Dipper. They are a double star called Mizar and Alcor. We're not sure if they actually orbit each other or are they what they call optical doubles, because they're pretty sure that Mizar, the brightest one at second magnitude on the right, is about 60 light years away. All of the stars of the Big Dipper are pretty close to us. They're 70 to 60 to 100 light years away, meaning we think they formed out of a star cluster cloud like the Pleiades of the fall and winter, and these stars have moved over millions of years further apart. But they were once a cluster, we believe, of stars, the Big Dipper. Now, let's look at the picture here. They're the middle star of the handle, the bend there, Alcor and Mizar. And there is again the stellar. This is a great, showed you this to point out a good planetarium in your night sky is called Stellarium Aquarium. Think aquarium with stellar, stellarium.org, an easy one. And you can zoom in on all this stuff and see the galaxies and other features that are in Ursa Major around the Big Dipper there. So many cultures actually saw a couple stars. Let me go here. Don't go back. There is sort of a photograph that's outlined, all right, showing you the double star Alcor and Mizar. Now, some cultures use it to test eyesight, particularly if you're going to be a warrior. You could go out and how many stars do you see in the plow, they may call it. In the handle, I see 2 stars there. So you have good eyesight, 20/20. So you're going to be a warrior or a scout, all right. If you failed the test, you're going to stay back at the camp with the women and the kids. So and help all that. So I'm not sure I'd ever see more than 1 star, Marty. I think I'd want to stay back at camp. Anyway, it was a way that all ancient cultures utilized the sky in ways that we would never even think about today as an eyesight test for warriors. There's another of the many great mysteries of the Big Dipper include let me get to Mizar. There's Mizar and Al Gore then. They include why does the Big Dipper have a long tail? Why do so many diverse cultures see this pattern as a bear with a long tail? There's no good answer so far. All right. Uh, because no one has ever seen a bear with a long tail. They all have a short, stubby tail. All right. The mythology of this is Hercules or Zeus threw the bear up into the sky and jerked its tail off here on Earth. Is why their Earth bears don't have long tails. That's part of one of many of the legends. Is it was swung into space and the tail jerked off. Some American Indians knew there wasn't a bear with a long tail, so so they said that their cook was being chased by three hunters, and and the pot is Alcor, all right, in the handle there. So Ursa Major is just one of the many ancient cultures that you can be entertained with your naked eye in your own backyard. You can see the double star. You can see the outline. Look for the more stars that are fainter of Ursa Major. Then you'll get an idea on a clear night how deep you can go to look at stars in your own backyard. Can you see a fifth magnitude star? If you can see fourth, that's good, because third magnitude is probably the faintest that you're going to see. So hope that you've enjoyed looking up a little bit and enjoying about Ursa Major. And Marty's handed me some of our Stay Curious fans out there. James Michael Sigler, thank you for being on board today. Pam Shivik, thank you very much for watching. We're going to have a special program next Monday about Asteroid Day with our ESA Eurocom. Our Eurocom's name escapes me. Marty, what's his name? Anyway, we're going to talk to someone that's involved with Asteroid Day. Is June 30th, where we celebrate the asteroid or comet that blew up over Texas and almost wiped out everything, okay, up there in Tunguska. I think it was 1903. Pam, you got me thinking about that. She's an astronomy friend and a Buckeye. Madeline Vanderleen, we're glad that you're watching. Cynthia Rossi, I appreciate you being a big fan. Dave Stangy's up there enjoying summertime in Michigan. And Mark Usiak, get back to work, Mark. And Tom Usiak, he's recovering from a vacation. Probably take you a couple days to get over those wonderful grandkids in your vacation there. But Alex Carl is who I'm thinking about, our European ESA Capcom, and Alex is part of the celebrations that are going on in Luxembourg starting on Wednesday to celebrate Asteroid Day. And so find out about that next Monday on Stay Curious. So talk a little bit here about some current events. By the way, there is a big smiley face in Ursa Major in one of the Hubble telescope deep sky photographs there, where a bunch of the smiley face is caused by something behind those two bright galaxies arcing behind it. But we had a night launch last night that was pretty beautiful. And I wanted to mention that, where's my notes here? That you don't have to be on the Space Coast to enjoy this, okay? There's some really interesting reports coming around the world on the launch last night because it was a communications satellite. It was that was sort of left over 10 years ago. It was a big satellite, though, okay, called Global Star FM-15. All right. And but there's more to it than meets the eyes, what reports are, because when they showed the global star, it went to a very different orbit, okay, very high, and it wasn't deployed until over an hour after launch, okay. And when the second stage separated from the global star satellite, some people in Illinois saw this on Sunday morning. Jared Wood recorded live video from central Illinois of a smoke ring. I couldn't load the video up, but this is the second stage igniting and going through a smoke ring, creating a smoke ring, all right, by the separation. Uh, and I believe it shows the orbital insertion of the Global Star FM satellite, says Wood. He's right. Almost 2 hours after launch, the upper stage deployed the communications satellite. The smoke ring was the puff of separation, and the rocket was 1,100 kilometers high. That's 600 miles, Marty. So people were unable to see it. They were able to see it across much of North America, from Arizona to Missouri and beyond. And this is on spaceweather.com. So check out this little 6-second video. And then in Australia, I thought this was a photo of a galaxy, but no, this spiral was caused by the Falcon 9's upper stage venting leftover fuel just before deorbiting into the Pacific Ocean. The upper stage was probably spinning on its longest axis to stabilize flight orientation, hence the spiral shape. Spirals have been seen from previous Falcon 9 launches, and it's caused by leftover gas being spewed out. And after the launch, that second stage separation, when it comes back, the first stage is enveloped in hot gases up there in that cold sky. And we've seen the jellyfish effect on many a times. But we didn't see a jellyfish effect this time, but something other unusual by a stargazing friend of mine, David Kortner. Hi, David. He is in Rutherford College, North Carolina. That's basically outside of Hickory, North Carolina. Not in the Blue Ridge Mountains up there, close to the Tennessee border. Here in western North Carolina, he photographed this after the rocket launch Sunday morning, or Sunday, it had been Monday morning, about 12:15 was the launch. I found an opening in the pines and waited, hoping for a faint moonlit jellyfish, but the rocket's trajectory was much higher than I expected, and the rocket got by me unseen. A minute or two after its closest approach, by my clock, I noticed this red glow spreading across a broad swath of the eastern sky. It looked like aurora, but I knew there was no reports of any sky phenomenon. And this photo shows the extent of the glow about 5 minutes after the rocket's passing. The lights of Hickory and a little of Charlotte, and maybe a teeny tiny of the yet to be rising moon light the clouds. The red glow has to be rocket related, but what is it? David Kortner, great capture there. He's always on his toes, and he's like I don't know, a couple hundred miles inland from the coast. All right, and he's seen many times. It looks like a little chevron going up when that second stage ignites. And is pushing it up to the altitude there. So hope you enjoyed that a little bit about some of our friends around the country photographing the SpaceX launch. It's not just for the Space Coast folks. Wherever you're at, you can, on the eastern side of America, you can probably see something going on about it. So hope you get out and check out Ursa Major, the Big Bear. See if you can see the double star yourself of Mizar and Alcor. But I know you can with binoculars, and that's what binoculars are good for, seeing things like double stars and testing your eyesight. And there's dozens of those out there that you can see on any bright night from your own backyard. So thank you, Marty, for running our Streamlabs board here, and thank you all for watching. Until we meet again, I'm Marquette saying, come visit us at the American Space Museum so we can bridge the space between us.